Welcome to the 23rd weekly update for 2025 on the Brisbane Channel. As usual, it's been a big week with council budgets announced and some pretty big plans for the future across Greater Brisbane's 5 LGAs. Council budgets don't just tell us if our rates will increase or by how much, but also what the priorities of the city councils are moving forward. This week, Brisbane City Council announced their budget, and it's a big one, $4.1 billion. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail in this video as there's just way too much to cover, and I'm thinking of doing a mega video comparing the budgets of all 5 Greater Brisbane LGAs, not just looking at where the rates are the lowest and the highest, but what the priorities are for each LGA in the coming year based on where the money's being allocated, which councils have introduced new levies and why, things like that. Let me know if you'd watch that, as it'll take a lot of work to put together. But for Brisbane, in a nutshell, Brisbane owner-occupiers will pay an average of an extra $1.14 a week, which puts Brisbane City in top position for lowest rates, not only in Greater Brisbane, but all of southeast Queensland. One thing to note is that the amount all rates will rise by varies from suburb to suburb. While the average rise is 3.87%, some suburbs are seeing rates rise by as much as 10%. While others will actually see a reduction of as much as 2.84%. Note though that increases for owner-occupiers are capped at 7.5%. That comes as little consolation to me, as here in Algesta the increase is 7.6%. One notable change in the new budget that will affect all Brisbane households is that green waste bins will now be distributed to all residential properties. However, if you opt out, you still pay the increased waste charge, $49.52 a year, that covers the extra bin. I'm sure city apartment dwellers will not be happy about that. And to add to their pain, the minimum general rate for apartments within the city frame will increase by $25 a quarter from the 1st of October. We'll look at all the changes across the city, as well as criticisms of the budget from the opposition, in the dedicated budget video, which will hopefully be out next week. But one of the changes that we will mention in this video is the plan to transform Mount Coot-tha into an ecotourism hub. This week, the Lord Mayor announced that the Brisbane Sustainability Agency would lead efforts to put together a master plan that would enhance the area's existing attractions while protecting the natural environment. This includes consideration of a long-term master plan for transforming the Mount Coot-tha quarry, enhancing the planetarium and tropical dome in the Botanic Gardens, and reconfiguring Sir Samuel Griffith Drive to a one-way loop road, reserving a lane for cyclists. One controversial possibility mentioned by council is a nighttime show in the Botanic Gardens. A previously proposed light show called Lumina drew protests from locals who said that nocturnal wildlife in the area would be adversely affected. The revitalisation of the Mount Coot-tha area will draw inspiration from other award-winning nature and park precincts, including Kings Park in Western Australia, Butchart Gardens in British Columbia, and Gardens by the Bay in Singapore. The proposal has drawn criticism from the opposition within Brisbane City Council, who say that the plan says a lot about the Lord Mayor's priorities when Brisbane is crippled by congestion, is seeing the Story Bridge crumble, and is facing record high rates. And speaking of the Story Bridge, $18 million has been allocated in the budget to restoration activities on the Story Bridge this year, including $6.9 million to install replacement decking for the footpaths. It's already been ordered through a fast-tracked tender process and will take at least 17 weeks to manufacture. There's no clear timeline for installation, but council are saying that the footpath on one side would be open before the end of the year. The business case for restoration of the bridge won't be completed until next year. Clearly, a fresh layer of paint won't fix the Story Bridge's problems, but it can completely transform your home or office space, and the sponsor of this video, YB Painting, is offering a 10% discount on any of their services for viewers of the Brisbane Channel. Their meticulous attention to detail is impressive, and with fixed pricing and a 5-year warranty on all their work, you can be sure there'll be no unpleasant surprises. If you're thinking of getting some painting work done, claim your 10% discount by scanning this QR code or clicking the link in the video description. Over in Ipswich and in this year's budget, the City Council has introduced a new infrastructure levy that will be added to rates notices. Mayor Teresa Harding says that this is to address an estimated $1 billion funding gap over the next decade, as Ipswich is projected to see its population more than double by 2046.
Probably our biggest challenge is that lack of infrastructure funding from the state and the federal governments. And so things aren't sequenced as well as they could be. Residents get very frustrated that they've bought into a new estate, but there's no public transport, or there's no sporting field, or they have to wait 5 years before we can build a clubhouse on a sporting field. And that's just very frustrating.
While Ipswich will need new roads, public transport, sewers, community and sporting facilities to accommodate the massive population growth, Mayor Harding says that the city has been significantly underfunded for years in federal and state government allocations. Figures from the Queensland Transport and Roads Infrastructure Program, or QTRIP, support this claim. Allocations for the 4 years from 2024-25 to 2027-28 are wildly disparate. Logan's allocation of over $1 billion equates to over $3,000 per resident. Brisbane's over $3 billion is roughly $2,500 per resident, while Ipswich's allocation of just under $200,000 amounts to just $847 per resident. And that's not taking into account the average of roughly 20 people moving to Ipswich every day. The new levy will be an extra $55 each year for the 99% whose land is valued at under $900,000. The remaining 1% will pay a higher amount. It will raise about $5.4 million over the 2025-26 financial year. Mayor Harding told the Brisbane Channel that the council's hand was forced due to the lack of investment from other levels of government.
That cost shouldn't be borne by the ratepayers of Ipswich. We are taking in the bulk of the growth for the state, so that should be funding that we get from the state and the federal governments.
The state government did announce this week that construction is about to begin on a new fire and rescue station for Greater Springfield, so Ipswich is not being completely ignored, but perhaps sitting lower on the list of areas given priority when it comes to funding overall. Redland City Council has had a busy week, releasing or endorsing a pile of new plans and strategies for the LGA to be implemented over the next 5 to 20 years. The draft Redlands Coast Access and Parking Strategy was endorsed this week and will go to public consultation in August. It will outline ways that the city's destinations can be made safer, more inviting and easier to access by all modes of transport, making them more inviting and safer for pedestrians, cyclists and people with disabilities, with space being allocated to enable improved access by public transport operators for drop-offs and rideshare. Council also endorsed the draft Redlands Coast Active Transport Strategy 2025 to 2046, which will go to community consultation this month. It will focus on increasing the range of travel options, especially for people who don't drive. The draft Cleveland Centre Local Area Transport Plan 2025 to 2046 was also endorsed, which outlines a long-term vision for improving access, safety and connectivity in and through Cleveland Centre, in support of the area's growth. The plan will also go to community consultation this month. Finally, the Redlands Coast Biosecurity Plan 2025 to 2030 was adopted and will come into effect from the 1st of July. Some changes from the former plan include adding red imported fire ants as a significant biosecurity threat and removing the pest fish section, which is the responsibility of the state government. A final noteworthy announcement in Redland City is that they'll be piloting a living shoreline project to protect against erosion at 3 Paddocks Park in Birkdale. Mayor Joss Mitchell has explained that living shorelines are comprised of nature-based elements such as mangroves, reef structures and seagrasses, and are used in place of hard-engineered seawalls to protect against erosion and a variety of other coastal hazards. If you find these updates helpful, you can say thanks by buying me a coffee. You can also support the channel by becoming a member, which also comes with some nice perks. Thanks to these members for their continued support. Next, a couple of updates for people with kids that affect people in all of Greater Brisbane. The state government has announced an allocation of $62.5 million each year over the next 4 years to Play On vouchers, which can be used for children's summer or winter sport programs. There will be a dedicated allocation for children living with a disability. Queensland families can claim one $200 voucher for each member aged between 5 and 17. The first round will open on the 4th of August. To pre-register or for more information, visit qld.gov.au/playon. If you have kindergarten-aged children, or will have in the next few years, this week the Queensland Government announced that they will be rolling out free health checks that will be conducted in kindergartens across the state. They'll check vision, hearing and speech before the children start prep or school to help identify if support is needed to better help them prepare for their future education. The program will run over 5 years, and while it will be piloting in a handful of Townsville kindies starting in October, it will reach those living in Greater Brisbane by the end of 2027. Under the Healthy Kindy Kids program, parents will provide consent and complete a pre-screen questionnaire prior to the health team visit. Another state-funded program that will benefit people in Greater Brisbane is the local government grants for walking and cycling infrastructure that were announced this week. The grants, totaling $19.1 million, are for councils to deliver improved walking and cycling facilities over the next 2 years. Cycling grants were awarded to Brisbane, Logan, Moreton Bay and Redland city councils, and Moreton Bay also got one for walking paths. Once again, Ipswich missed out. Let's get to the quick bites, the bite-sized updates from around the LGAs, starting in Southbank, where the lagoon has sprung a leak. After noticing changes in the water level, management of the parkland have drained the pool and are investigating where the water is going. There's no date for when it will be up and running again, but the Southbank Corporation have indicated they expect the aging pools will need more work over time, which will lead to more frequent and longer closures. The state government's budget has allocated $300 million, which is being matched by the federal government to pre-construction works for the Logan and Gold Coast Faster Rail, which will double the number of tracks between Currabee and Beenleigh, as well as upgrading stations and removing 5 level crossings. Public consultation is now open for plans to create a statewide housing code which aims to streamline the building process and fast-track the delivery of more homes. Visit housing.qld.gov.au to check out the draft code and complete the online survey. In Moreton Bay, construction has begun on 75 social homes for Indigenous Australians. Due to be completed mid-next year, the project will deliver 53 one-bedroom and 22 two-bedroom units for Indigenous locals experiencing or at risk of homelessness, people aged 16 to 25 and over 55. Also in Moreton Bay, Unity Water will be identifying and replacing water meters reaching the end of their life cycle in Burpengary and Kalanga. Crews will leave a card in the mailbox of properties where meters have been changed, which records the water consumption measured by the old meter. Customers are encouraged to keep this reading for reference and to cross-check when they receive their next water bill. Moreton Bay City Council will take over the operation of Old Petrie Town from the 1st of July and has allocated an initial $2.5 million in the 25-26 budget to restore the site. The historic village is spread across 48 acres of parklands at Whiteside, and Council have approved the activation of a master plan to restore and upgrade assets, although some buildings have fallen into disrepair and will need to be closed. Now a quick list of developments submitted, amended or approved in Brisbane City. A new 4-storey mixed-use development at 257 Waterworks Road in Ashgrove has been approved. It will include a supermarket, food and drink outlets, a gym and office or function facilities, along with a rooftop level for a range of uses. A proposal for another 4-storey mixed-use development has been submitted for Racecourse Road in Hamilton, with 8 commercial tenancies on the ground level and 37 apartments above. While a few blocks down Racecourse Road, a third 4-storey mixed-use development has applied for approval of a 5th floor, which will add an additional apartment to the building. As far as events go, there's just one I'll let you know about this week, and it will be held on Saturday the 28th of June. It's the Sunnybank Food Trail. From 8 p.m, 53 restaurants in Sunnybank Plaza and Sunny Park will offer 173 signature dishes priced from $2 to $5. Think barbecue skewers, bubble tea and dumplings, among other dishes. There'll also be lion dancing from 2 to 6 p.m, along with other kids' activities. I'll put a link to the full program in the video description. And if you like Asian food, then you really should check out this video. where I introduce you to 2 unique, authentic and delicious dishes and where to get them here in Brisbane. I'll see you there or in the next video.